For those of you that aren't, just chill. See, we're going to get down to the other stuff here in a second. But what I'm always trying to get everybody to understand is everything is vibration. So, before we do anything else, just vibe. Everything is vibration. Make sure you hit the like button as you come in the door. And in doing so, understand this is not about ego. No. This is about algorithm. This just helps us expand the platform. That way, if you're not trying to hear what I'm trying to say, at least then we can get out to the next motherfucker who is. Just let that vibe seep in. Yeah, I know. I take a leap of faith. Fine. We're going to take just a few minutes to let a few people trickle in. And then we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. Now, today the nitty gritty is going to consist of us touching on the transits and elaborating on the aspects that might be affecting you. But after that, it is Thursday. Thursdays are ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter rules over knowledge. So today, we're going to have one of those teachable moments. And that means we're going to talk for a few minutes about FiXeDs. Now, we're not going to go into depth because that would take us forever. But we're going to talk about the nature of FiXeDs, what they mean, and we'll cover a few of the major FiXeDs and how they might be affecting you. But until then, just vibe. And if you haven't smiled yet today, now would be the perfect time to do so. And when you hear this beat right here, this is an assertive reminder that should you ever be up in the mountains hiking on a trail somewhere and you encounter me being attacked by a bear, you better help the bear. That's what the fuck you better do. Yeah. Straight like that. Fine. Everything is vibration. Just let it sizzle in your spirit. Sagittarius season is coming to a close. It's time to get serious. It's like, you tried that. Now stop playing around. I need a few more of y'all to hit that like button, I know that. Yeah. ViBe, let's zone out music. Let's zone out. Yeah. This the vibe. Anything else would be uncivilized. This is the winter solstice also, for those of y'all that are ritualistic. Or you could just call this the shortest day of the year. The night is long. Yeah. Yeah. If you want it, believe in me. Forever. Yeah. Just vibe. We're gonna get to the knowledge. That's natural. The vibe comes first. I'ma love you, say. If you want it, believe in me. I'ma love you forever. Yeah. Just today, I'm talking about here in a few hours this evening, we're gonna experience a major energetic shift. So prepare yourself. Yeah. We're about to shift from fire to earth. So things gonna calm down just a little bit. If you want it, believe in me. I'ma love you forever. Yeah, I like that. I need like 6 more of y'all to hit the like button. I need as many likes as I have people in the chat, and that's when I'll get it cracking. And that's just a matter of respect. Yeah. down a little bit. Now y'all want to talk about what's going on cosmically? No. Y'all ain't ready yet. Where's everybody checking in from in the world? It's 11:26 in Narnia. Do you know what your motherfucking vibe is? Yeah. Let that fire settle down to a simmer. Yeah. But never let your shine settle down to a glimmer. Never that. Keep that glow. Let them know. Yeah. Look good, don't it? Bye. It feels even better. Yeah. We finna talk about it. It's finna go down. We are exactly, let me see, about 2 minutes from it being that time for you to open up your ear and let me crawl into your mind. Right. See, most of the time when a motherfucker says, I'm a whole vibe, they full of shit. But when I said it, I embodied it. And then I bodied it. Let that saxophone speak to you. Just that grown folks music. That's what that shift from Sagittarius to Capricorn is. It's a maturation process. You gotta grow up real fast. Yeah. Now let me turn it down a little bit. Let's talk about what's going on cosmically for real fast. So, can y'all hear me loud enough? Either way, you ain't even gotta hear me. I need you to feel me. See, as we speak, the sun sits at 29 degrees of Sagittarius. So, we need to keep this last push of positivity and let it be the fire that drives us through these hard times that we might be about to come into. And even if it's not hard times, you're responsible for whatever energy you bring into this next season, into this winter season. See, it's like this. When I say this is a maturation process, Sagittarius is very searching, reaching, looking, experiencing, trying, right? Capricorn is doing. Working. producing, to be exact. So you take this positivity right here, this positivity that I'm trying to pump into you myself, and you make it productive. See, what's interesting about this energy is later on this evening, around, I would say 9 or 10 o'clock for me, so that would make it 10 or 11, 9 or 8 o'clock for people on the West Coast. It would make it, I'm getting all confused now. I'm not even gonna go through the times. I've been smoking too much, because I would have to go through the whole world because there's so many people here. But either way, later on this evening or later on this morning, depending on where you are in the world, or later on in the day, the sun will shift into Capricorn. And around that same time that the sun shifts into Capricorn, the moon will shift into Taurus. And that's very interesting. Like I said earlier, it's going to be a chill out. It's going to calm all the way the fuck down. You hear me? Now, before I get into that, understand the sun is conjunct to Mercury now. With the sun conjunct to Mercury and sextile to Saturn, like I said earlier, there is a certain seriousness. There is a certain clarity that comes in the way of your responsibilities, what needs to be done. Not what you want to do, what needs to be done. Now that comes into major focus. And that can be stressful. That could be stressful. Maybe it's you haven't got some things done for the holidays. Maybe, it's the end of the month, you got bills. Maybe you got family coming in. Maybe you have something coming up for work. You don't even celebrate these westernized holidays. Whatever it is, you see people kind of realize, no, there's some stuff I got to do now. It shifts from desire and optimism to responsibility and duty. That's where we come to with this energetic shift. It's like all of a sudden people sober up or get serious in the next 24 hours. Or like I said, calm down even. Just don't let it be stress. Let it be a realization, not a revelation. I mean, like, oh, you know what? Let me go ahead and take care of this stuff, or let me go ahead and put an appropriate plan into place for things that need to be taken care of beyond these next few weeks or for the next year coming up. Because we are coming into that preparation process also, where we shift from 2023 to 2024. And I thought I should come on and do a whole astrological forecast, and I might go look at the transits and see how that's gonna look and talk about it in a video or live coming up here in the next week or so. But I also want y'all just to let this resonate with you, because I said it on Facebook earlier, and a lot of people said, oh, you're fear-mongering. And I'm not fear-mongering. I'm truth-telling. The astrology for 2024 does not look better as far as the collective goes than for 2023. Now, you could have amazing transits coming up for you personally. There's lots of people that do. And we'll all experience some great transits, because as far as the personal planets, they'll touch a lot of stuff. But when it comes to the movements of the nodes and those outer planets, that means things are gonna get a little stressful, or we're gonna see another energetic shift with the collective. And then if 2024 looks some type of way, 2025 and 2026 looks absolutely fucking terrifying. But we'll talk about that when it comes. The fact of the matter is, when we look at those outer planets, Saturn's still going to be in Pisces. We're just at 2 degrees of Pisces right now. Saturn will progress until around June, and then it'll retrograde again at around 19 degrees of Pisces, and it'll retrograde back through about 11 degrees of Pisces. So just from between now and June, we're going to see Saturn go all the way to 19 degrees of Pisces from 2 degrees. So it's going to hit a lot of people that didn't get hit in this last little go. And the people that have been dealing with Saturn conjunct or square or trine or sextile to any of their personal planets or any of their placements, and it's been, bringing some tough feelings to them, then this is going to be that final push for those people in that first decan. This is that final touch where, hey, no matter what it is, whether you're scared or not, you finna have to deal with it. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's just life. It's a part of your emotional maturation process. It's just a natural process. Saturn has been in Pisces lots of times before. People forget that. And we'll talk more about that when we talk about Saturn in Pisces. But the fact of the matter is, over these next few weeks and then progressively over these next few months, as Saturn really starts to pick up speed and really starts to work through this Pisces energy, there's going to be a lot of stuff that people are avoiding that's just going to, they have to deal with it. It is what it is. And chances are, it won't be as bad as you think. Because the problem isn't the situation. The problem is the fear. The problem is the stuff going on inside of you. This is Pisces. It's about the emotion. But for 2024, Saturn will do that, and then it'll retrograde 11 degrees, and then we'll do this whole thing again. As far as Uranus will still be in Taurus. Uranus will come back through 22 degrees of Taurus again, and we'll have to deal. Once Uranus start stations direct on the 27th of January, we'll have that going until August, and then we'll deal with the retrograde again. So the market and things are going to be moving erratically, especially with this being an election year here in the United States, and with all of the global conflicts going on. Neptune is still in Pisces, working through those really last deep degrees of that Pisces energy. So the confusion, the projections, the expectations, all that shit is going to be even more frustrating. Pluto will transition here in the next month into Aquarius, and it'll touch back in Capricorn later on in the year, but it'll be briefly. But Pluto's going to get into Aquarius for real, to where it's going to move into those first few degrees of Aquarius. And those people that have Pluto in Scorpio, they're going to have Pluto coming into the squares with their Pluto. So they're going to have some midlife crisis stuff that they're going to have to deal with inside of their life. Or they're going to have to deal with, the natural maturity process and transition that comes with getting older and having to face the facts of life and the changes that come with Aquarius and Scorpio. So, blowing your mind wide open, getting a more open mind, and that stubbornness really being effective. But ultimately, the fact of the matter is, the astrology with the outer stuff is not shifting majorly in anything. So it's not, and it's not going to be a lot better. We're just going to have to keep dealing with the stuff that we're dealing with. Now, Pluto going from Capricorn to Aquarius brings a tremendous change of pace and mindset. But you have to figure out how to deal with that personally on your own level. and that's an air sign, so that has to do with situations and other people and humanity as a whole with Aquarius, specifically humanity. Now, I need a few more of y'all to hit that like button. We just getting started. Let's talk about the moon now. We just getting started. The moon now sits at 27 degrees of Aries. That happens to be my north node, so I'm right where I should be with y'all right now. I'm right here with y'all, and this is where the fuck I should be. Now, besides all that, with the moon at 27 degrees of Aries, this is that impulsive energy that you have to find something to do with. That active energy that you have to find some way to channel appropriately, or not, or if not, it comes out aggressively. And the moon is square to Pluto for these next few hours. The moon is square to Pluto for the next, I would say, six hours or so. So until that energetic shift really gets into play that we're going to go in when we go from this fire to earth energy. With this, it's like people, especially when we have this Sagittarius and Aries energy, it's like people might be really active right here in the daytime and then they just crash later on. People are going to be really fucking active and have a lot of energy here earlier in the day, and then later on this afternoon, either things are going to get really serious or people are going to just get really fucking tired. But there's still things that need to be done. That's the truth. Now, the beautiful thing is, this also is like, once again, a realization, like there's that you've been tripping, or that you need to chill, or that there's things that need to be taken care of, or that you need something. And so this could have people, like for me this afternoon, it's funny that this occurs after this live. I have to go Christmas shopping. I have to go Christmas shopping. And I'm not looking forward to it. It's like, I got plenty of money. The money is not the issue, but I just don't want it. Like, I don't want to spend it. I don't feel like Christmas is cool. I'm not a Christmas person anyway, but Christmas is cool. But like, we have other stuff coming up, and this shit is gonna be appreciated for one day, or paid attention to for one day, 2-3 days maybe the most, and then it's gonna be discarded with my younger son. And then with my older children, they're teenagers and they're adults also. Yesterday was my oldest daughter's birthday. She turned 21 yesterday. But looking at that, like, they want some expensive ass shit. They want some expensive ass shit. So I'm kind of like, man, and it's my duty to do it. And I'm glad to see the smile on their faces. But at the same time, I don't think it's worth the money. And that has a lot to do with Mercury being involved with this also. Understand, the moon is going to come into that trine with Mercury retrograde in Capricorn while it's trine with the sun. So it just comes into that shit like, damn, like, not only is this pointless sometimes, but it's not smart. But it's also what you're supposed to do. And the fact of the matter is, joy is gonna come from it. Right now, I can't see it. Right now, I can't see it. I can see the bills. I can see the stuff that we have coming up. I can see the fact that we still need to get a vehicle. I can see other things coming up. So just being cognizant of that, it kind of puts me into a whole different mindset. And I'm aware of it now, but I know later on this evening it's gonna be the same thing. Now, once I get into that mood, I'll be chill. I'll be all right. Once I get into that spot where I'm cool, but I have to think about the way this is influencing everything in my chart. You know, my sun is in Cancer at 4 degrees, so I have all of this personally coming into aspect with my stuff. The sun coming into Capricorn at 0 degrees, Mercury being at 1 degrees of Capricorn. You get what I'm saying? The moon coming in to 0 degrees of Taurus. My Pluto's at at 4 degrees of Scorpio. My Saturn's at 4 degrees of Sagittarius. My Neptune is at 4 degrees of Capricorn. And so all of that shit right there is already getting hit by Saturn. But all of that shit right there is just like boom. This evening. It's just like boom this evening. You got shit you got to take care of, fam. It's just like that. And so, and it's all triggered by the moon going into Taurus. And in my 7th and 8th, in my 7th house. So it's really interesting. But for people, like I said, you're gonna see a shift from realizing what you've been wanting to do or impulse into responsibilities. Like all of a sudden you realize you need to be a little bit more responsible, or you have things you need to take care of. You said my second hoe. I looked at you, I said, what? My second hoe? I'm like, who the fuck they calling a hoe? But yeah, that's just kind of what it comes. It comes with an emotional and a ego shift here later on, and it happens simultaneously at the same time. And so that's something to pay attention to. Mercury is sitting at 1 degrees of Capricorn. And so with Mercury and Capricorn there, you kind of more or less got to look at the fact that, once again, people are going to be real serious. They're going to take things seriously. They're going to make things serious that wasn't that serious. That right there complicates things. You're going to see people making things harder than it has to be. That frustrates communication and business. You can see issues when it comes to bills. You can see the normal Mercury retrograde stuff with the people that you associate with, and with electronics and cars messing up for whatever reason. But specifically, this is one of those seasons where you can see bills and responsibilities that you missed, the things that you missed that you should have taken care of, coming back to bite you in your ass. This is Capricorn. Things that you were aware of that you didn't take seriously. Even situations with people, you can see that. Like, you could have situations in communication where somebody's been trying to tell you something and you didn't take it seriously, and then all of a sudden that becomes an issue between y'all. You can see issues where, and this is just for the next few days before it goes into Sagittarius. We'll look at it in its own right, and really till tomorrow night it'll go into Sagittarius. But you can see, yeah, all of that. But just remember, no matter what you got going on, You can flip the script on it always. And remember, just because you built like that, you don't have to build like that. You can realize, hey, you know what? This could be Mercury retrograde. And you don't want to blame everything on the transits, but Mercury retrograde is something that is known to cause issues. So if you are aware of that, you can check yourself with it. Be like, you know what? I'm tripping. Especially with the sun here, conjunct to it. With the sun conjunct to this and this being Kazemi, and us coming into that Kazemi before it comes into the square of Neptune, this is a clarity for you to prepare for this Mercury coming back into that exact square with Neptune in a couple of days. On the 28th, I believe. So in about a week. So before things get confusing and complicated and all that other shit, right now, this is a good time to repurpose. You're aware that Mercury's retrograde. You're aware that Mercury retrograde is about to come into a square with Neptune. You're aware that you still have things to take care of. You can't stop life because Mercury went retrograde. So you have to make sure that you're on top of your shit and stay on point. This is your message to do so. You got to take the extra step to stay on point and you'll be straight. Guaranteed. Now, let's talk about the fact that Mercury is also sextile to Saturn. So you do have to be careful. You do have to make sure you don't slip into a depression. You don't let your worries get the best of you. This is Pisces and Capricorn. Because what you're worried about might not even be real. You have to work on and develop your discernment and figure out what's worth worrying about. Some stuff that's a problem ain't even worth worrying about because there's nothing you can do about it. You stressing about shit you can't control. That's the real. Some things just take time to work out on themselves, and you have to learn that they just take time. There's a beautiful example of that sextile between Pisces and Capricorn. Capricorn being so steeped in Saturn's energy, and Pisces having that need to go with the flow. So with this right here, some things are about mentally accepting that you have no control over it. And the things that you do have control over, handle it. I had one of y'all here, and I forgot which one of y'all it is, and I don't want to say it might have been Melissa Ann, but one of y'all here that I was in a reading with recently, and I was just happened to be speaking about my own issues that I'm dealing with, was like, hey, bro, whether you're a Christian or not, say the Serenity Prayer. Say the Serenity Prayer. And I'm very aware of it. I grew up in NA. Not me going there myself, which I have, but because my mother was very, very, very deep in that Narcotics Anonymous culture and group, to where for those last 5 or 6 years of her life, she went 3-4 times a week. She went to dances. She went to canoe trips. She went to auctions. She was a member, one of the chairmen or the members or the group leader or whatever they had. They had all types of positions in those groups. They had a DJ, they had a chairman, they had a treasurer, they had a group member, they had an organizer, they had a PR person, an organizer, they had everything because it's a nonprofit organization, each group is. And so they have to, within their own organization, correct. But you have all those drug addicts that are trying to work on their stuff together and get into their program. But beyond that, you have all these little kids in the back room. And I was one of those children, my parent, my mom, I was going to say my parents, but my mom and my stepdad in particular were in there in the NA meeting. So we were those little drug addict kids back there. So I got really, really familiar with that. And so hearing that, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. A lot of times you don't have to be Christian to look at that. That right there is a release. That right there is a release. It's just as much an affirmation of release as a prayer. And so that right there is something that, like, hey, whatever you can control, you can control. And hey, if you can control it, take care of it, do what you got to do. Just don't let your fears control you. Don't let your stress be your guide. You have to release that by taking care of what you can take care of and letting go of the rest. And there ain't nothing to it but to do it. But when you have this sextile going on between Mercury retrograde in Capricorn and Saturn in Pisces, it's a choice you have to make. A sextile is not automatic like a trine. A sextile is a choice you have to make. You can let it fuck with you. You could get disenchanted and disillusioned and discontented. End up fucked up, depressed, and unproductive. Or you can chill out and get inspired. Let your responsibilities be your muse that keeps you from getting confused. I don't think you hear me though. Now, that next brings us to Venus. And Venus is at 20 degrees of Scorpio. And I mean, what do you want me to say? With Venus in Scorpio, your love nature, your desires, they operate at extremes. You either love shit or you hate shit. You either love motherfucker to death or you can't stand their ass. And sometimes it's the same motherfucker that you feel those both emotions for with this right here. Like, man, I hate that I love you so much because I don't trust your funky ass. That's what you might start to feel like, man. You can see a deepening of your feelings for someone, or you can find yourself losing control over your emotions and end up making things complicated for yourself because your desires are so fucking volcanic. That can happen. You want things a little bit more. It turns you on a little bit easier. You're running a little bit hotter. That complicates things. Yeah. And complication is a little sexy right now. Simple ain't gonna do. It has to mean something. And if you're gonna do something, you might as well do it all. Every bit of it. Leave no crumbs, as y'all kids would say. Yeah. Now, Venus is opposite to Uranus. So don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. With Venus opposite to Uranus, this shit really is operating at extremes. You could want something so bad it could have you acting against your values. Or you could also have a feeling so intense that you're stuck. Yeah. And with Venus opposite to Uranus, you can see people acting out of character. It's like, you usually don't act like that. What triggered you? You did, motherfucker. You did. Little Big M said, stuck in a toxic relationship. But you don't have to be stuck in a toxic relationship with another person. You can be stuck in a toxic relationship with your own emotions and your own mistrust, your own desires. You can realize your sexual nature gets you into trouble. You can realize your intensity scares people away. You can realize you complicate things on purpose. But yeah. It's easy to do. Now, that brings us to Mars. And Mars sits at 19 degrees of Sagittarius. So, with Mars sitting at 19 degrees of Sagittarius, this is inspired action. This is about doing things because you can. Not just because you want to, but because you can. Yeah. This is looking at everything like a direct challenge. This is looking at every experience like an opportunity to learn something positive. This is about expecting to win and never accepting defeat. Realizing a loss is just a lesson learned. It's not a defeat. It's experience gained. Yeah. Inspired action. Now, Jupiter is retrograde at 5 degrees of Taurus. Jupiter is going to remain retrograde throughout the remainder of the year. Jupiter will station direct right around 10 or 11 p.m. on December 31st, 2023. So, look, we can chill, right? But don't be still. Stay slow and steady. Stay ready. You hear me? Don't get stuck. Don't start to expect anything to come to you. Being receptive does not mean waiting with your arms out. It means staying steadily on the grind and being cognizant of the opportunities that are opening themselves up for you. You hear me? Not waiting for somebody to hand you something. Not sitting around and eating so much that you don't have what you need, or that you can't move further, or you're too slow to pick up on the next opportunity. All of these things are there. All of them are in the realm of possibility because of the retrograde. But other than that, this could be a very prosperous time for you. What do you have in aspect to 5 degrees of Taurus? See, this is opposite my Pluto. My Pluto is 4 degrees of Scorpio. It's sextile my Sun, trine my Neptune. It's hitting off my chart in every which way, which is helping me be okay in its own way with Saturn doing everything that Saturn's doing in my chart. I have Jupiter there in Taurus calming me down, keeping me cool, maybe even protecting me. But still, I can't expect shit just to go away. No, I need to be working towards a solution, not waiting for something to resolve. Now, Jupiter is sextile to Saturn still. And this is beautiful. This is finding a way to be creative with those feelings that you have. Make something beautiful out of that pain, out of that fear, out of that compassion, out of that empathy. Take this stuff that you've been through over these last 8 or 9 months that Saturn has been in Pisces and create something beautiful with it, something divine. Do that. And that doesn't have to be a material creation or a work of art. It could be a feeling. It could be a new goal. It could be a purpose. Yeah. Some people will never get it. But that's all right. Now, Saturn sits at 2 degrees of Pisces. The first thing to remember with Saturn in Pisces is it has nothing to do with what's going on externally in the world or anybody else or any situation that is occurring to you in your life. Nobody's doing anything to you. The universe is not conspiring against you. Your family's not conspiring against you. God don't have it out for you. Life is just doing what life does. You need to learn how to deal with things maturely. Do you hear me? You need to learn how to accept things, work on things, face things, instead of avoiding things, ignoring things, and attempting to escape situations, whether literally or chemically. Like it's foolishness. People develop this deep-seated fear of isolation. And it makes them worry way more about other people and get way more involved with other people because they don't want to deal with themselves. Because situations from the past have too much control over them. Something happened in people's past with Saturn and Pisces that is triggering them right now. Something is triggering a fear. It's triggering some type of feeling. And they don't want to deal with that feeling. So they're letting this develop this lack of faith in life all the way around. But as you mature and you start to deal with things and you realize it's never as bad as it could be. Because if this was something else, this could be a different case. But with Pisces, it's about what's going on inside of you. So if you can deal with the things that are going inside of you healthily, the situation will never be as bad. You are definitely making it worse. Don't do it. And people are going to be a lot more compassionate right now because a lot of people are going through it. They can sense it. They're going through it. And it's going to make them be more compassionate. And that's cool. But don't let your sensitivity also be an escape mechanism. See, people will start worrying about other people and wrapping their lives up in other people, trying to escape their own shit that they don't want to deal with inside of themselves too. That's another codependent technique. Oh, I'm gonna help others. I'm gonna focus on doing, you know what I mean? And it's because they don't want to face what's going on inside of them. And they think if they can accumulate enough good karma, then the shit that they deal with will somehow disappear. The shit that's facing them will somehow disappear because the universe wouldn't let that happen to them. But that's not how it works. The universe will let anything happen to anybody. Like, motherfuckers live their whole life positively and try to be virtuous and still end up raped, pillaged, losing, all that shit. So your concept of what you think karma is not what it really is. If not every person that lives a half-ass virtuous life would be living comfortably. That means no good people would be sick or poor. It means little innocent kids wouldn't have cancer. That's not what happens. That's not how the karma is working. Karma is not consequence. Karma is just the natural process of your life playing out. When people with the Eastern philosophy or the gurus say that's just their karma, they're not saying that's just your consequences. They're saying, hey man, we're not getting in the way of your life playing out the way your life is supposed to play out. That's your free will. Exactly, Lil Big M. That's your free will. Villanita, right now I'm just going through the transits. After I get done with that, we're going to talk about StArs for a few minutes. But yeah, that's what that is. Or that's what that was, cuz. Now, Uranus is at 19 degrees of Taurus, retrograde until January 27th. So, right now, things aren't as chaotic as they could be. So what you need to do is use this time to take inventory of what you have to work with, both spiritually and materially, and what you're willing to do. And that doesn't mean how far you're willing to go, even though that is something that needs to be incorporated into this thought process. It means what's your values? What's your boundaries of what are you willing to do? And what are you willing to sacrifice if things don't go as planned? And they're not going to go as planned. It's not going to be able for most people to, or most people, pardon me, are not going to be able to get comfortable. Not in this environment, not in this economy, not in the way that the world is working at this present moment. You're not going to be able to get comfortable. You're not going to be able to find something that's just solid right now. So you have to be solid. That doesn't mean be stubborn, it means be solid. Find a stable operating place where you can be adaptable, but you're not going to get knocked off your game. Yeah. Let me find my lighter. Hold on. No, there it is. Now, Neptune is sitting at 24 degrees of Pisces. So, with this right here, don't get caught up in the culture. Society is ultimately, right now, made up of projections, cultures, trends. So it's real easy to get caught up in that and be worried about what everybody else is doing and end up confused about who you are and what's real for you. And that's not something you can find externally. People are looking at that externally. Even when they're saying, oh, I believe, you either believe in astrology or you believe in this. Astrology is not a religious practice. It is a tool of understanding. Do you understand? You believe with astrology. You don't believe in astrology. That's the concept you need to grasp. But these days, people get so confused. They get so confused. They take shit posting and think it's serious to where they are downright discriminate towards certain signs and certain placements these days. Absolutely discriminate. And that's not what astrology was ever created for. But that's what human beings do with things. It's a part of the culture. It became cool, so it's a part of the culture. So now something that was supposed to help people identify, something that I grew up helping myself identify with something outside of race. Now people use it like an orientation. As soon as you say something negative, and I mean, it really is my place. But as soon as you say something negative, oh, it's Cancer. Earlier there was, I forgot what it was. I was looking on the or scrolling through a Facebook group, and I saw a placement where it was a person talking. They had a whole bunch of bumper stickers, basically talking trash about their wife or their ex-wife or their baby's mother or something. And I knew exactly. They said, what's their placements? And I knew before I even clicked on the comments that somebody was going to say Cancer. And that is, and the fact of the matter is, that's not something that Cancer would do. Like, that's something that a fire sign or possibly Scorpio would do, but that's not something that's not really Cancer MO. Not to ride around with a whole bunch of cuss words and shit about their their family members on their car, no matter what happened with them. It's not something Cancer would do. But they've heard nothing but negative things about Cancers because of this shit posting, and because Cancers and Pisces can be easy victims or whatever. That's the first thing they do is, oh, it might be a Cancer. Like, that's some stupid ass shit. And it doesn't really matter. We use it as a joke and we use it as an identifying tool, but people get caught up in all of this dumb shit. And the whole purpose of it all gets misconstrued. It's not just astrology, it's everything. It's because everything is so culturally influenced. You have to make sure that your personality and your sense of reality and your sense of spirituality are not culturally influenced. They are internally guided and divinely inspired. Yeah. Now, Pluto is at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So this is another one of those AnOrEtIc degrees. We're in that anorexic degree. That means with 29 degrees, this shit is real. It's serious. People frustrated. I know y'all. I don't know why I'm having connectivity issues myself. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But anyway, are y'all back? Are y'all signal back good now? Now, anyway, back to what I was saying. You have to find the reality inside of yourself. With Pluto doing what Pluto's doing, the discontent of that reality that you find can be depressing. It can force you to make changes. And as we go from Pluto in Capricorn to Pluto in Aquarius in a few weeks, we're going to experience a tremendous change of pace and mindset. I'm talking about a tremendous change of pace and mindset. things are gonna get real different real fast. You gotta be careful with that. This goes from conservatism to radicalism, just like that. So, got to be more careful. You got to be more careful. Now, Chiron, 15 degrees of Aries, retrograde until the day after Christmas, or Boxing Day, or December 26th for those that don't celebrate. What that means is you got to hold yourself accountable for whatever the fuck you got going on in your life. And that can be a beautifully positive experience, or it could be joltily. Like you could just realize, damn, my life is fucked up. Damn, I'm allowing this motherfucker to mistreat me. Damn, my job sucks. Damn, I'm broke. Or you could realize, man, you know what? I'm a powerful motherfucker. I'm a badass beast. You know what? Look how far I've come. I just got to keep going, and I'm going to get somewhere. You got to do that. You got to do that. You got to hold yourself accountable for wherever you are in your life and for whatever you're allowing. See, sometimes you realize, man, I'm also accountable for allowing this motherfucker to treat me this type of way. For allowing this situation to get this bad. For allowing them to take me for granted. And then you have an opportunity to do something about that. And it ain't nothing to it but to do it. That's what happens when Chiron goes direct here in a week. This allows you for action. You're aware now. Hold yourself accountable through this. And then when this comes into a direct action, hey, this is where we take action. That allows us to move progressively towards healing. Or just move progressively forward in our life very quickly. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Now, hold up. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the Black Moon Lilith real quick. See, the Black Moon Lilith is at 8 degrees of Virgo. So, you have to be careful that your mind doesn't get the best of you. That you don't overthink shit. Overdo things. Over criticize yourself and others. Don't get too technical. You got to be careful with that too. You can find yourself being nervous and letting your nerves really fuck with you, fuck with your health, fuck with your mind, fuck with your work. With the Black Moon Lilith in Virgo, you can see your unhealthiness come to the forefront. You can see people who can't see past their own ass. You can see people who can't even see their own ass. They're too busy focused on everybody else and what's wrong with everybody else. What you gonna do with it? That's the question. What's up, Liddy? Now, the nodes are now at 22 degrees of Aries and Libra. So we're at that critical point already in this nodal ingression through Aries and Libra. So, looking at this, that codependency, I know it's easy to do. To look for somebody else to do shit for you, or look for somebody else to tell you where you need to go in your life, or look for somebody else to tell you you're all right, or look for somebody else to handle something for you. And that's the easiest thing to do, but it ain't gonna help you none. Might not even fuck you up, but it ain't gonna help you none. Right now, you have to face things head on. You got to do what's right for you. See, your truth to be a verb that you experience. You don't speak it, you live it. And that's always a good thing, regardless of how it affects other people. And that's a hard concept to grasp, but that's the truth. You have to find a way to do what's best for you, regardless of how it affects others, or regardless of what their opinion is of it. The days of being easily influenced and over-conciliatory have to be over. If you do that, your relationships will be a lot more healthy. You will feel a lot more better about yourself. And you'll know what you're truly capable of. And once again, there's nothing to it but to do it. Now, the numerology of the day is a 4. And with the numerology, it gets serious. It's where you do have to look at things maturely. Because whatever you're building on today has implications that go beyond just today. So create the vibe, or create something that's worth keeping. That's what you do with the 3 vibration also here, with it being the 21st. Well, we're in the 4 vibration, but there's a 3 connotation to it. So let your creativity, your positivity, your love be the foundation that you can build on moving forward from today. And that's what happens with this energetic shift. I told y'all earlier, didn't I? I said, take this Sagittarius and Aries energy and this fire. Take that shit right there. Take it. And as it gets serious into the night and it goes from Sagittarius and Aries into Capricorn and Taurus, take that positivity, that strength, that willpower, that fire, and let that be what pushes you. And let that be what propels you and inspires you to build on solid, unimpeachable foundations throughout Capricorn season. That's the trick to this. And 4 does not equal Aquarius energy. No, the numerology numbers don't really equal a sign. They relate to certain signs, but I would not relate them to a sign specifically. And if a 4 was anything, it would be Capricorn energy. But I wouldn't say, or the 7 could be Capricorn energy also. That's why you can't really put it to a certain number to a sign. They have elements and numbers. Like the fact of the matter is, the 2 seems like Libra energy, and the 6 seems like Cancer energy. But the 6 is ruled by Venus, and the 2 is ruled by the moon. So that kind of is interesting in its own right. But when you look at trying to ascribe one to the other, that's not really doing it justice. It's deeper than that. The 3 is more like Gemini energy, Leo or Gemini energy. The 9 is more like Sagittarius energy, Virgo energy, Pisces energy. That's more the 9, a mix of those. The 11 is Pisces energy, Libra and Pisces a little bit. The higher end of Libra and the higher vibration of Pisces, or really natural vibration of Pisces. But the empathy and the divine talent and creativity that comes with the 11 has all of that right there with it. The 1 is Aries or Libra. The 2 is like I said, Cancer but you can't really ascribe it to it. You can't. But when you ask how is it a 4, it's a 4 because of this. Because it is December, so that's a 3. The 12 makes a 3. It's the 21st, so that makes another 3. And it's 2023, which makes a 7. So 3 plus 3 plus 7 is 13. The 1 plus the 3 is a 4. Come in, son.
How much flour we got?
Yes. So yeah, that's what that is. Now, hold on, let me change this shit. What the fuck? What we're gonna do now is have our teachable moment for Thursday. But before I do that, I have to use the restroom, y'all. So y'all gonna have to excuse me for 1 minute, and I'll be back. So I need 1 minute of a restroom break. And then when I come back, we're going to get into this teachable moment where we talk a little bit about StArs. All right. Just bear with me. Now, let's get into this teachable moment. I need everybody to go share this video on whatever social media platform they fuck with the most. And whatever Facebook groups they're a part of that fool with astrology, go share this. All right? If you fuck with me, that's the least you can do. And make sure y'all hit that super chat, that super sticker, that super thanks, that CashApp, that Venmo, that PayPal. Cause I got a family too, and it is Christmas. And just cause it's priceless don't mean it's free. Now, let's talk about StArs. And actually, before I do that, let me fix this. I can't see my shit here. Yeah. Now, before I tell you about the few StArs that we are gonna touch on here, I want to tell y'all a little bit about what StArs are. All right. I gotta change this beat. That screaming is fucking with me. Nah, fuck that. I'm turning this shit off. We turning that off. Now, let's talk about these for a second. So, in essence, what StArs are stars that are so far away from Earth that they don't appear to move over time, as opposed to what the old school people or the ancient people referred to as wandering stars, which are really like the planets that are moving in orbit with Earth, all right, or in their own orbit of their own, right? And the importance of fixed stars is really going to vary when it comes to which astrological discipline that you're involved in. Like Eastern Vedic astrology is going to be based on fixed stars, all right? While Western astrology, which is what we're practicing here, is just going to use them kind of like as a supplement. It's something to use of note, okay? After the planets, but I want you to look at this and take this into consideration. Like, uh, Spica, Spica is twice as big as our own sun. All right, and so that's a massive amount of weight, and that bitch is gonna have some pull to it. It's gonna have something to it. You know what I'm saying? And what we mean by fixed in nature is that each one is roughly at the same degree all the time. All right. For example, uh, Algol is has sat at like 25, 26 degrees of Taurus for thousands of years, as far as where it is in the tropical zodiac, or 0 degrees of Taurus, or 1 degree of Taurus, as far as in the Vedic or the sidereal zodiac. And you know, for that reason, a lot of times it's only considered relevant in a natal chart reading if they're conjunct. And when I say conjunct, I mean exactly conjunct, like within a 1 degree orb. That's something we need to understand with this right here. Within a 1 degree orb. If we can remember that. And then, I can't even find my lighter. Oh. God damn. Sorry. And then just conjunctions. Remember that. We'll say it again in a second, but like just conjunctions. When it comes to the fixed stars, conjunctions are the only aspects that matter. Not sextiles, not trines, not squares, none of that shit. Just conjunctions. All right. Now, and we'll get into a little bit of information about most of the fixed stars here in a second, because I did take some notes, and even for the ones that I'm not familiar with, and brought those to y'all for us to just to understand what influence they have. All right. So when it comes to how to work with the fixed stars, like the first thing to understand is the signs of the zodiac when we're dealing with the Western zodiac anyway is based on the seasons. And this light is giving me a headache, y'all. That's why I wear my glasses. And so, like the first day of spring in the northern hemisphere, which is like the vernal equinox, is the first day of Aries season. And then with the movement of the sun, it's going to be divided into them 12 segments right there. All right. So that's to be the zodiac signs. All right. And that's going to really follow the sun's apparent path around the earth, or the ecliptic. All right. But, and that's the tropical zodiac. All right. And it's once again tied to the equinoxes or the seasons. And that's where a lot of the significations of the zodiac signs actually come from when you really get down into learning about it. Now, the second zodiac is based on dividing the sky into 12 equal segments with this right here. All right. And that's going to start with the first star of the Aries constellation. Okay. And that's the sidereal way of looking at it. All right. And it's primarily used more in the Eastern Hemisphere, or in the Indian or Vedic astrology, or by the Western sidereal astrologers who have claimed that they prefer to use sidereal. All right. Now, here's the thing. At the inception of Western astrology, the tropical and sidereal zodiacs coincided at the same time. They were the same thing at first. For those of y'all that don't know. So on the first day of spring, the first star of Aries also rose with the sun. But over time, but because of the way that the Earth wobbles due to its tilted axis, the two zodiacs drifted apart. All right, they started to do totally different things, and at this point, they're like 25 degrees apart, like 24 and a half, really, 24 and a half degrees apart. You know what I'm saying? And that's because the so-called precession of the equinoxes is going to shift about 1 degree every 72 years. Thank you, Attuned to Ken, for the love. Thank you, for real. Now, with that right there, uh, the rate of motion of the fixed stars is gonna be so minuscule because I think they change at about a rate of 1.3 minutes over every 100 years. And when you look at how the zodiac moves, as I've told y'all, it moves through degrees and minutes. That's what that other number is besides your degree. So when it says 26 degrees and 38, and it has that apostrophe at the top, that's 38 minutes for those of y'all that don't know. Because it goes to 60 and then it starts over again on the next degree. So you could have 24 degrees and 38 minutes, or 0 degrees and 7 minutes. That's how you clock through with the zodiac. All right. So when you're looking at how the fixed stars move, they move 1.3 minutes every 100 years. And that means their positions from 2000 before Christ are pretty much the same as right now. Hasn't moved very much. Maybe a degree or two in variation. And beyond that, there's also a third zodiac that you have to incorporate with this. That's very relevant when you're dealing with fixed stars. All right. And that's the constellational zodiac. And this is made up of the actual space taken up by the constellations in the sky. And some of those are of varying sizes and some of them overlap. That's something to understand. Like, for instance, for those of y'all that don't know, Aries is a fucking tiny ass constellation. Aries is little bitty. Whereas in comparison, Virgo and Pisces are fucking huge. They're huge. And so, with this right here, that brings us to looking at the fixed stars. Got us what? What's the question, Lil Big M? I'm trying to convey this in a way that y'all understand. I'm trying to break it down because if not, I'll say it. For me, it's something that I naturally understand, but I want everybody to get the process of how this works before we even get into this. But now we're gonna get into the actual fixed stars, though. For real. See, the fixed stars that we're gonna look at are actually called the Bohemian fixed stars, and that's like a selection of 15 stars that are considered particularly powerful, and really, especially auspicious, or with the case of Al Ghul and a few of those, especially dangerous to use when you're dealing with astrology or even astro magic in that way. All right. And apart from their use in natal astrology, which, like I said, you're going to look at them being conjunct to anything that you have personal in your chart, or any of those fixed stars being, talking about it has to be within 1 degree. Exactly conjunct. And only conjunct. All right. For you to use them or for you to incorporate them, you have to look at how that's how that's incorporated and how that's being influenced with that placement. Like and even like when you're dealing with eclipses, you got to look at stuff like when you look at that lunar eclipse that we had in November of 2021. that kind of occurred at 27 degrees of Taurus, and that's conjunct Algol. And that added a little bit of weight to that right there. And because that it said that they cast no rays, the aspects that are made by the fixed stars are ineffective, and their influence is only going to be exerted by those conjunctions. All right. So when there's a personal conjunction with one of these fixed stars, it can really make a person's life have a certain significance, and it could give people a rise in stature, even with Algol and shit like that. Like it's gonna bring some power. If you have one of them personal planets or one of your angles, your ascendant, your descendant, and one of them the motherfuckers conjunct to one of these fixed stars, and even in transit, when a lot of times in death charts or in marriage charts or in event charts or in this, like when you see Regulus involved or Algol involved or Aldebaran involved or Antares involved, you know that there's something significant being involved here. There's something going on that's playing out really effectively in this person's life. And even with this, it adds a certain amount of weight to it. And I say weight specifically because that's what stars are, that mass. All right. And a lot of these significations with these fixed stars and what they mean are based on the mythology that's centered around these fixed stars. All right. And this could also be incorporated into horary or electional astrology. And so let me look at my notes I have here, because I have I think a little bit of information about all of these, because I really only mess with Algol, Regulus, Aldebaran, Antares, Sirius, and Speaker. You would just look up fixed star calculator. I would look up fixed star calculator on AsTrOlOgY. Now, let's look at these. We're going to look at just a little bit about each one of these, because I got like 25 minutes and then we got to go, or maybe an hour at the most. So the first one we're going to look at is Algol. All right. And Algol right now is at 26 minutes and 26 degrees, or 26 degrees and 26 minutes of Taurus for Western or tropical astrology. All right. Which I'm not going to do it for all of them, but that easily puts it at 1 degree of Taurus in sidereal or Vedic astrology. And Algol, it is considered like a demon. It's really called the demon star, and it's associated with losing your head, losing control, dying, even literal decapitation in some cases, going crazy in other cases. And it's represented by the myth of Medusa. And Algol is it's a mother. My vertex is conjunct Algol. Unfortunately. So it's like I'm headed in my 8th house. It's like I'm headed towards that. You know. And some say that Algol is assigned the nature of the planets Saturn and Jupiter. So it can also bring a certain dignity and piousness to a person, and a certain status to an individual. But ultimately, it's looked at as a bad omen when you see it. And it's associated with, like I said, going crazy, losing your head literally, losing control, getting lost in addiction, decapitation, brain cancer, aneurysms, all types of things like such with that. You can see Algol kind of bring that stuff that's associated with the head or with the head space. All right. And our goal is definitely dangerous, no matter how you look at it. And next is uh, Alcyone or Alcyone, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I don't know if I pronounce it right. And this is at 0 degrees and 18 minutes of Gemini for Western. So that would make it at about 4 degrees, maybe, yeah, 4 or 5 degrees of Taurus for sidereal or Vedic. And this is going to be in the constellation of Taurus, even though it's 0 degrees of Gemini for Western astrology. And a lot of those Western placements fall like that. And this is actually the brightest in the brightest star in the Pleiades star cluster, in the cluster of the Bull or the Taurus constellation. And that's because the Pleiades or the Seven Sisters is right there in the shoulder of the Taurus constellation or of the Bull. All right. And that name, Alcyone or Alcyone, it comes from the mythological daughter of Atlas. And so that kind of correlates with her being the central star of that constellation. All right. And she was the sister that got seduced by Poseidon right there. And her nature is of the moon and Mars, so very impulsive, very emotional. And it symbolizes both love and turbulence in a person's life. And yeah, just the passions that build. Now, next is Aldebaran. And I'm going to do these in order of where they appear, just so we know these. Next is Aldebaran. And this is at 10 degrees and 5 minutes of Gemini. All right, so that would probably correlate to, if I'm trying to think back, go 11, that makes it 11 degrees. So that would leave 14 from 29. So that's about 15 degrees of Taurus for for sidereal or Vedic. All right. Around anywhere from 15, 17 degrees there. But I'm not exactly sure because my math could not be mathing correctly, but it's around there. And Aldebaran is very potent. Like, that's one of the most potent stars that there are. And it's another one that's in the constellation of Taurus, but for Western astrologers, it falls within the Gemini sign. And it's said to give honor, intelligence, eloquence, steadfastness, integrity, popularity, courage. And that's funny. My daddy has his son conjunct to that, and he ain't shit. Now, my Black Moon Lilith is 3 degrees away from that, but it has to be 1 degree. So that's very interesting in its own right. But yeah, Aldebaran, man, it's a beautiful, beautiful sight to see. That bitch is live in its own right. Now, next is Capella. All right. And Capella is at 22 degrees and 10 minutes of Gemini in the Western. So that would make it at about 27 degrees or 28 degrees of Taurus for Vedic or sidereal. And that's Capella, Capella. And Capella is another one of those fixed stars that's said to bestow honor and wealth and eminence and renown and really a public position of trust in particular. And it makes a person careful and inquisitive, and that could be another one of those ones. Capella is another one of those ones that could be really, really, really fortunate. So let me repeat that. Capella is at 22 degrees and 10 minutes of the Western zodiac. So 27 degrees, 28 degrees of Taurus in the Vedic or sidereal system. And that is another one of those that bestows honor and wealth and eminence and renown and, as I was kind of saying, a public position of trust in particular. And it makes a person careful and inquisitive and very fond of knowledge and particularly fond of novelties. All right. And it's in the constellation of Auriga, and it's said to be ruled by Mars and Mercury right now, but it used to be ruled by Jupiter and Saturn. And that's another one of those ones that is very personal planets. So when people say 22 degrees is not always bad, especially 22 degrees of Gemini. That's where Capella is in the Western zodiac. Now, next is Sirius. And Sirius is at 14 degrees and 23 minutes of Cancer in the Western zodiac. So that would make it at about 21 degrees of Gemini in the sidereal or the Vedic system. And that's kind of called the dog star, for those of y'all didn't know. And that's the brightest star in the Canis Major constellation. And it's said that its heliacal rising coincided with the flooding of the Nile and the start of the ancient Egyptian astrological new year. So this is another one of those ones that really initiates good fortune and brings honor and wealth and devotion and passion, but also resentment. Resentment. That's a key word with Sirius. And it's associated with Jupiter and Mars, but sometimes Venus too. All right. And next is Procyon or Procyon. I'm not sure if I pronounce it back right. And this is at 26 degrees of Cancer in the Western zodiac. So 1 degree, almost 2, maybe 2 degrees of Cancer at the sidereal. All right. And this is in the constellation of Canis Minor, the little dog. And there's another one that's considered very fortunate, very, very fortunate. And this one can bring fame and wealth, but it also, through that, can symbol destruction and destitution for other people. It's like it brings their downfall too. And that's Mercury and Mars. And then next, we come with the famous Regulus. And Regulus is at 0 degrees and 6 minutes of the Western zodiac. So that would make it at around 4 or 5 degrees, maybe 6 degrees, between 4 and 6 degrees of Leo in the sidereal or the Vedic system. And that's called the heart of the lion. And that's the most regal star, being Regulus, in the constellation of Leo. And that one right there is said to convey royal properties and a noble mind and frankness and courage. Sorry. But yeah, Regulus is the kingmaker. Trying to see how much money it was. Oh, it's my YouTube money. YouTube for paying me. Thank you. I needed that, but you owed it to me anyway. My monthly YouTube payment just came through. I should just... With Regulus, there'll be an element of pompousness that comes with Regulus. A lot of that with Regulus. All right. And it's in the nature of Jupiter and Mars. But yeah. Now, that brings us to Alcade. And Alcade is at 27 degrees of Virgo in the Western Zodiac. And that would be 3 degrees of Virgo in the sidereal or Vedic. All right. And that's in the constellation of Ursa Major, or the Big Bear. And despite its planetary, this one is kind of bad luck. It's known as the destroyer of nations by Islamic astrologers. And it can really, more than anything else, just mark instability. And for some people, mental instability, when you have those personal planets conjunct to Alcade. Is Algorab. And Algorab is at 10 degrees and 45 minutes of Libra in the Western Zodiac. And that makes it at about 21 or 22 degrees of Virgo in the sidereal or Vedic Zodiac. And this is another one of those infamous dark stars right here. This is another one of those ones that can be a bad omen to see. And this one is in the constellation of Corvus. All right. And it's ruled by Saturn and Mars. And it acts like such. It acts like such. Where we're at now is Spica. And Spica is one to always pay attention to. And Spica is at 24 degrees and 8 minutes of the Western Zodiac, which places it at right around 29 degrees of Virgo right now in the Western, or I mean not the Western, the Vedic or the sidereal system. Sorry. And this is one of the most auspicious stars that there are. All right. And it's especially in the constellation of Virgo. And it's said to bestow riches and sweetness and success and a love of art and science. And it gives knowledge and smarts. Not just knowledge, smarts. And this is ruled by Venus, Mars, and Mercury. And it's a bad. Think about it. How heavy it is and how strong it is in relation to our own sun. Now, next we have Arcturus. And Arcturus is very close to Spica. Arcturus is at 24 degrees and 32 minutes of Libra in the Western Zodiac. So Arcturus is right beside Spica. All right. And a lot of times, sometimes stuff that's conjunct to one is conjunct to the other one, and they come hand in hand. But that would make Arcturus at about 0 degrees of Libra in the sidereal or the Vedic system. And like I said, it's going to be associated with Spica in this way. But it tends more towards grandiosity because it's more about Mars and Jupiter. All right. And so it can be overindulgence, where there's a fine line between being having it good and taking it too far, doing too much. So you do have to look at that with Arcturus. Being a little extra, taking it a little too, you got it like that though. It's a good, it's positive in its own right. And then next we have Alphecca. All right. And Alphecca is at 12 degrees and 35 minutes of Scorpio. So that would make it at what? Now I got to think. My bad, y'all. But I didn't say anything. We're about still on Alpheca, which is 12 degrees and 35 minutes of Scorpio in the Western zodiac. And that means it's about 18 the Vedic or sidereal system. This in their natal chart or anything conjunctus in their natal chart, idealic and psychic and neat and fucking lovable and refined and genteel and intelligent. And it's ruled by Venus and Mercury and Mars too. And it's in the constellation of Corona Borealis. All right. Remember that. And then next we have Antares. And Antares is at 10 degrees and 3 minutes of Sagittarius. So at about 15 degrees of Scorpio in the Vedic or sidereal system, maybe 16 degrees. And I would say Antares is kind of known as an antithetical to Mars, like, but it's also said to cause destructiveness, rashness, and to be overly headstrong. And it's ruled by Venus and Mars both, and then Jupiter too. And it's in the Scorpio or the Scorpius constellation. And then we have, I think, only like 2 more, y'all. No, I think there's still, no, it's 2 more. I'll try to write down my notes because I also got down the tEaChAbLe. But before we go there, let me see what else I got in my notes. Vega. I forgot about Vega. So there's actually 3. Vega. I forgot all about Vega. And Vega is at 15 degrees and 36 minutes of Capricorn. So at about 20 degrees of Sagittarius for the Vedic or the sidereal system. And its planets are Mercury and Venus, and it gives ideality and beneficence and hopefulness and refinement and changeability, but also pretentiousness. All right. And it's in the constellation of Lyra or Lyra. Now, what we have next is Deneb Algedi. All right. And this is at 23 degrees and 50 minutes of Aquarius. So that would make it at about 28 degrees of Capricorn in the Vedic or the sidereal system. And it's ruled by Saturn and Jupiter, which are kind of, when you look at them, the greater malefic and the greater benefic. And it's said to cause both beneficence and destructiveness, and sorrow and happiness. And if you're looking at it magically or energetically, it can be seen or used as a protective or a purifying energy. And it's in the Capricorn or the Capricornus constellation. For sure. All right. And so, remember, when we're dealing with these fixed stars, it has to be within 1 degree. And it has to be conjunct. No other aspects are really relevant with fixed stars. That's really all of them. That's all of them. As far as the Bohemian ones. So if anybody has any questions, I'm here for questions for 30 more minutes. 32 more minutes. Not about the fixed stars, because, I mean, I can tell you a little bit as far as Regulus, Antares, Arcturus, Algol, Spica, But the rest of them, I haven't done enough research, and I don't incorporate enough for me to honestly give y'all the knowledge that you should be able to get if you ask me about them. So just keep it all the way true with you. So we here for a few more minutes. Let's make it count. Whatever we gonna do. If you haven't smiled yet, you need to smile right now. I'm planning on being here tomorrow for a top 5, but that could change. I'm planning on being here, but that could change. We'll see. And I'm only coming one time next week. But then after that, we back to 4 times a week. But I'm going to spend my Christmas vacation with my peoples. Smile right now. I'm glad. I will be glad, pardon me. I can't even talk right. That Mercury retrograde is a motherfucker. I will be glad when Mercury retrograde is over with, because this shit is getting out of control. Like, seriously, out of control. Which is something I should have known, but you don't even think about it until it really boils down to it. And you're like, that don't even sound better. And it ain't. It's like the stuff you're avoiding right now, the stuff you're ignoring right now is going to be an active conflict later. Like you think you're ignoring it, you think you're avoiding it. No, the progression is now you're setting yourself up for a direct confrontation, or even a downright conflict, a battle. Yep. You thought you were safe? Ain't no safety out here.
Jason Devin.
There ain't no rest for the weary, motherfucker. Any questions? Do we have any questions? We're going to end it early if y'all don't have any questions. I can definitely go chill with my children. We'll be here tomorrow with a quick top 5 if we can. I got a reading to do. But after that, we should be here with a quick top 5. I don't know what the top 5 going to be yet. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm hungry. So, all right, we're going to go in 5 minutes then. Nobody has any questions. We're going to go in 5 minutes. I love y'all. It's been an awesome couple of hours. We don't have to stretch it. Lindy, you said, how long did it take for me to be comfortable enough with my knowledge for me to start teaching astrology? A decade, 10 years at least. I mean, I've been studying it for most of my life, but extensively a decade. Now, that's not the same thing for everybody, but I know it's cliche for me to say, but it was more of a realization than a point, a goal I was trying to get to. It was after years and years of studying and taking classes and all this other shit because I was trying to understand me that I realized, like, when I was helping somebody else, that they're like, bro, you the best I know at this. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, yeah. And I like, you go to class? I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, why aren't you doing? And I'm just, and then I had some stuff happen to me spiritually and experience that kind of hit me to it. Like, hey man, this is what you should be doing. But at first, it was just something that I was learning because I wanted to know about me and my family, and I wanted to know about the world, and it was a part of this something that I just identified with, and I understood, and I've been obsessed with for most of my life. But then over time, as I kept studying, and as I got to a certain at this period, and I said, yeah, I feel that, and they're like, well, why don't you and you know, I had a job then, and then I did it for somebody else, and they paid me, and then they were like, I know my homegirl who has a website, and like she's like, you coach. She's like, I know she has astrologers that do little excerpts and articles on her website, and so I kind of got in with her, and she let me say a few things about what I knew on there, and then through that I gained some traction, and then I had a little side hustle with the website for a little bit, and then I realized like I could really, because of my charisma, not just the knowledge, but because of my charisma, I could really do something with this. It's funny that you say the path of the wounded healer also, because my Chiron is right there on the cusp of my ninth house in Gemini. So talking about the things I've been through and coming and using my communication, and my part of fortune is also in Gemini in my ninth house also. You know, conjunct my Chiron, the smarts that I have, and that really put me in a unique thing. But that Riz, as y'all youngsters these days call it, that Riz has been what paid off for me. There's a lot of awesome astrologers. There are, and I'm great. I'm one of the best. I've been told that, and I honestly believe that. But in my lane, I don't fuck with everything. You understand? I'm very, if I get obsessed with something, I get incinerated by something, then I'm obsessed with it. I'm incinerated by it. I get in that. But I also stay within my lane. Now I sometimes teach y'all about the stuff that asteroids and certain outer planets. So I'm not Hellenistic, and I'm not totally traditional. But I do have a more traditional approach. I try not to get too abstract in all of it, or too splintered, that I'm not an expert in what I. This signal is fucking up. As far as time goes, that's gonna vary for different people. But I would not be. I'm not gonna personally. I'm not gonna personally. I'm not gonna take you seriously. Other people might take you seriously. There's a lot of people that are like that. And I'm intuitive, but I also have the knowledge behind the intuition. But you have these people these days that, because of the astrology being such a fad, that they get into it, and they think they see people I can be an astrologer, but that's not responsible. Being into astrology and being a professional astrologer are not the same thing, and people get that construed these days. They think as soon as they're into it, and as soon as they have a fundamental understanding of how to look at a chart, or how, or what certain placements mean, that means that they automatically have the foresight, and that's not right. And that's because there is no commission or no regulatory oversights in this community. People have certificates, and I actually have two certificates, but they don't mean anything. It's just a piece of paper because you don't need them in the United States. Just means I went to a class and somebody gave me a certificate. And that is what it is. And I mean, it makes me feel good, but it doesn't prove anything. Any one of y'all could go print a certificate right now. You could go to Kink. Oh, they don't have Kinkos anymore. What's the store that they got? Do they have FedEx stores anymore? What is it? Anyway, the stores, wherever you can go to get stuff. And I'm old. You could easily go and get you some certificates made. Get you a sticker and a stamp and get them put on there. Anybody can. That doesn't mean anything. But when somebody's been doing it a year or two or 6 months and they really understand it kind of, they automatically think that gives them, and they want to share what they've learned. And I understand that people want to share what they've learned, but that doesn't make you a professional. But there is no regulatory oversight that says, oh, you're a professional now because you did this, or you took a test now and you're certified. People are going to get, there are certifications and there are classes, but they're just pieces of paper. There's nothing that's accredited. There's no school that you can take your astrology certificate and say, or there's nobody that's gonna say, look, I got a certificate, and they're gonna say, oh, I know, you know what I mean? Oh, I know I respect. No, there might be some astrologers that say, hey, oh, I've heard of them, but that's not what it's about. And regurgitating everything you heard someone else say is not what it's about either. To be a great astrologer, you take the information, you take the knowledge, and knowledge and information are similar, but they're separate. You take the information, you take the knowledge, you take your own intuition, your own understanding, and you try to cultivate your own interpretation. That's what a real professional astrologer is going to do. And it's not going to be vastly different from.
Can I go outside?
Yeah, come give me a hug first. Say what's up to the people in the world. Here's my daddy. Say what's up to the right here. You don't try to act like you can't look, bro.
What's up?
What's up? Say with your chest.
What's up?
You know I love you? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, get out of here. Get out of my sight. But it's a practice. And I do it sometimes. I used to, especially with my Mercury and Leo, I'm very pompous in that way. I'm like, I'm a professional and thousands of people listen to me. But as I've been going through Mercury opposite, Pluto opposite my Mercury, I've had to been humbling myself lately and realize, like, bro, shut up. There's a lot different a year ago or 2 years ago. Because I automatically just gonna say, I shut you down. You trying to argue with me about some astrology because of the knowledge I have, because of my understanding, because of the following I have. I would pompously shut your ass down. You don't know what the fuck you talk about more than me. And that's foolish. That's foolhardy. So I myself have just learned here lately that even in that, it's a practice, and there is no destination that you get to. But there is a certain point where you are professionally adept because you have formulated a professional opinion of your own. But it takes time and work to do so. If you've read a lot of books that's fine. But to be a professional astrologer, you have to develop a professional opinion. And that takes time and knowledge and understanding to do. That's the thing with being a professional astrologer. Is doing enough to develop a real understanding of your own. This computer is pissing me off, man. There we go. But all that's beside the fact. That's what my students do. Is they take what we incorporate together, and that's why when I'm with, say, Love 12, and we're in our session, we go over the stuff that I'm teaching, and I'm going over the techniques with them. But after the techniques, we're gonna look at charts together, and I'm gonna let them look and give me what they see and how they see it. I'm not gonna tell them what there's. It's not like me looking at it and say, this is what this is, this is what this is. I'm gonna tell you how what those interpretations are, or what that could mean, and give you those possibilities. And then I'm going to allow you, as the astrologer and as the intuitive individual in your own right, to develop something. And then once we listen to that, we're going to collectively together formulate something that is viable. And if there's something that's totally off base, I'm going to help you understand why it's off base. If it's something that I myself didn't understand before that, I'm going to be mystified, and I'm going to say, hey, you know what? You're an awesome astrologer, because that's something myself I didn't even. That's why you're my apprentice. We're working together, and we are cultivating you. You're not my pupil. Apprentice takes working. When you're an apprentice, you work. You're putting stuff. You're doing it. You're not just reading it. So that's why together we're working, and you're formulating your own astrological acumen from this priceless knowledge that I imparted on you. It's about finding your way of seeing things. Me helping you find your way of seeing things. That's why it's unique. It's not me teaching you to do my way. I'm not teaching Love 12 to do it my way. I'm not teaching my other students to do it my way. I have 2 students that don't want their information given out, but I'm not teaching them to do it my way. I'm teaching them how to do it, and they are developing their own way. But hey, we finna go. I love y'all. If any of y'all are interested in any readings whatsoever, don't get at me in my comments. Get at me in my email, which is mr.turner1300@gmail.com. That's MR.TURNER1300@gmail.com. And that goes for natal chart readings. That goes for audio recorded readings, phone call readings, video conferences, or Zoom readings, or FaceTime, however you want to call it. That goes for Pluto through Aquarius transit journey readings, synastry readings, all of that. Get at me. I still haven't picked my other apprentice. I have 3, but like I said, I was going to need 1 more. So, I'm still looking for 1 more person. I have my people. I'll let y'all know when so if you want to put in not an application, but if you want to tell me to be incorporated, but I'm telling you, it's not cheap to be an apprentice. It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. It's priceless. But it's not cheap. And I also have other people whose spot is on hold. And whenever they decide that they want their, or when she decides she wants her spot, she gets her spot. But for the moment, that time slot is open. that time slot is open. Anybody got anything to say before we go? I will try to be here with the top 5 tomorrow, briefly, but I can't guarantee it. Just depends on what's going to be here next week. But this is getting frustrating. I love y'all. We're out.